Hey everybody, it's Nick from Hawk Pro Detailing, where my goal is to make you a better detailer. Many of you are familiar with this contraption here. It's the grit guard, right? It helps trap dirt at the bottom of your bucket. You rub your wash media against the grit guard, it keeps the dirt trapped, blah, blah, blah. Well, my man Dave Barker has another way, a more genius way to trap dirt. If you don't know Dave, you're missing out. Make sure to check out this video. He is the founder of Detail Kegs. I love these things. They're high pressurized, high quality sprayers. While I was talking to Dave about Detail Kegs, he showed me this genius way that he uses to trap dirt. It's not just a different product, it's combining products. So without further ado, the man, the myth, the legend, Dirty Dave. How does one deal with such beautiful locks of hair as a detailer?
Oh, it's a struggle, man.
Real quick, who are you?
I'm Dave Barker. A lot of people call me Dirty Dave. I own Dirty Dave's Detailing and Detail Kegs.
And what the heck's in your hand?
Dirt lock and a grit guard. They're friends.
They're friends. Are they friends or are they enemies?
They're competitors. So the reason why I like dirt lock is, as you can see, it's pretty caked full of crap. But you can look down in the holes and it V's. So when you go and you scrub everything, it forces it down through, and the holes in the bottom are so small it's hard for anything to go back up.
Really? So explain that one more time. So
if you look down, the holes, the cavities are like a V. So when you go and you scrub it, it actually takes everything and it forces it down and it shoots it down through to the bottom, and then it's hard for anything to go back up because of those tiny holes.
How is this better than the grit guard, which has kind of been the industry standard, at least since I've been in the game for the last few years? Uh-oh. Show and tell. Whoa.
I mean, the size of the holes, right? So I run two buckets. The reason why I run this bucket is because it's a taller bucket. If you put a grit guard, anything in the bottom, it hits the sides before it hits the bottom, and it starts pushing the sides out, and it breaks it, right? It starts cracking it breaks at the worst possible time.
The grit guard breaks or the...
Either or.
Okay.
So I take a grit guard and I actually cut the outside ring off. And I drop that in the bottom, then I set my dirt lock on top. The reason why I do that is because in my head, right, when you just put a dirt lock down on the bottom, you go and you push your mitt and everything, there's nothing here to baffle that water, so it's going to stir it back up. If you get something with baffles, that liquid's not going to move whatsoever. So you set it down there, you go and you mush it, that water's going to get locked right there, and it's not going to stir it up or anything.
Dude, you're a crazy mad scientist. I love this, dude. So you use the dirt lock and the grit guard.
Yeah. So this is more of a pedestal too, because when you drop this in the bottom, it only sits, it sits that high above the bucket, right? So after pushing everything, you'll go and you'll split the side of the bucket out, and you'll crack, it'll break at the worst possible time.
Do you use this for traditional soap washing or for rinseless washing?
Rinseless washing. That's all I do is rinseless washing. I don't use traditional soap whatsoever.
If there's a guy out there who still likes soap, could he use this method?
Yeah. 100%.
Or is it redundant?
So,
why is this good for rinseless, I guess?
So I guess the reason why I use two buckets is this bucket sees a lot of production, a lot of different washes. A lot of washes being this bucket will see 50 washes before I go back and rinse it out.
Before you refill this bucket?
No, not before I refill it, but before I go through and I do a deep, solid clean on the bucket. I run a shorter bucket that just has a dirt lock in it. That's for my cleaner jobs. For a lot of DIY guys, smaller guys, that's perfectly fine. That's all you need. This is more for high traffic dirt, at least in my mind. It's not going to hurt, right? For a smaller production guy or even a traditional wash. But with a traditional wash too, most guys use two buckets. If you had two of these setups in two buckets on a traditional wash, that seems like a lot.
What do you some guys like rinseless washing with two buckets. One is your rinse, one is your regular.
Yep.
Is that redundant or do you think that's solid?
For a traditional wash,
Rinseless.
Oh, for rinseless, it's redundant. But there are some rinseless products that do require two buckets. Silly.
Not Wipeout or Fusion?
Nope.
Okay.
I'm not dropping names, but it's silly, right? It defeats the purpose of the simplicity and the efficiency of having one bucket.
So when did you come up with the idea to marry the dirt lock and the grit guard?
When I bought a bucket with a gamma lid, and my dirt lock broke the bucket. No. So I had to buy another bucket, take my gamma lid off, and then that's when I was like, man, because I like the taller buckets because I use more liquid to do production detailing because it keeps me working longer. But when that bucket broke, it really put me in a world of hurt because it's the only bucket I had that day. Like, it put me out a solid hour because I had to go get a bucket, come back, finish my job. So yeah, that's when I was like, man, I need a pedestal, and you can't really cut a dirt lock because of the tabs, right?
And how did you cut the outside of the...
Just dikes.
Okay, dikes. So
wire cutters. Anything, really. I mean, you could probably get it with some pretty industrial scissors. But yeah, you just cut the inside tabs as you go around, and then you cut the legs, and then everything just pops right off.
So show me how... Can you show me how you like put them in there?
Yeah, so you just drop that one, and it goes all the way down to the bottom. And then just take this one and you set it right on top. Just like that.
Boom.
Wipeout, and we have Fusion. They're both considered rinseless wash solutions, I guess.
Fusion is the hot new
washes.
thing. Yeah, so I've been using Wipeout for a while. I mean, it's been out in the market for a while,
Yeah,
and a lot of guys love it. It smells awesome, grit on glass. What the heck is Fusion?
So Fusion's pretty much it cleans more, I guess, but it doesn't have the same lubricants as Wipeout. A good example is like clay lube. Wipeout's awesome for clay lube at 10-to-1. You can use Fusion, but you got to go clear down to like 5-to-1, 7-to-1 to get the same lubricity as you do with Wipeout. As far as like being ahead of its time, I don't know of another product like it. A lot of products are closer to Wipeout, or they have less carnauba's Wipeout or something like that. I don't know of any other rinseless solution that foams up and cleans the same way Fusion does. When you use Fusion Wipeout in your wash buckets, at least what I've seen anyways, my wash media, my double flips, stay cleaner longer in my Fusion buckets than they do with my Wipeout buckets.
Could I use Fusion to wash a car on itself?
Yeah, 100%. I don't know if I would do any waterless washing with Fusion. What I mean is like dusting, where you're just going over with just one towel with a fine mist and just dusting. I would do that with Wipeout just for the lubricant factor.
But if you're doing a rinseless wash where you have access to a detail keg or a sprayer of some sort where you could do a pre-treat, you could pre-treat with Fusion, wipe, and not need to rinse?
Yeah, you don't need to rinse after. Everything dries clear, even on windows. Like, there's no streaking, anything. I've been able to literally one towel dry cars without going back on anything.
So what would you do? One word to describe Fusion.
Probably versatile, because you can take it down to a pretty heavy cleaner on interiors, where I feel that something like Wipeout won't quite get into.
Wait, so you can use Fusion as your exterior rinseless and as a heavy-duty cleaner as opposed to what rinseless is?
And it's not going to leave a sheen or anything because it dries completely clear.
That's something I hadn't thought of as Fusion for interiors, too.
Yeah, it's awesome for interiors.
Could it take the place of an all-purpose cleaner for interiors, or is it somewhere in the middle, do you think, just for the heavily soiled? Would you?
So for me anyways, for interiors, if it gets really, really dirty, I use F-Bomb.
It depends on what you're going for.
Yep.
But that's fascinating to think of it as maybe an in-between cleaner that could be versatile for a lot of details.
Yeah, 100%.
Interesting.